Hello. I think we're live. All right. It's Dr. Ginny Trierweiler here talking about winning the Hunger Games. So what am I talking about? I have so many people say, I could do fine with weight loss, except I get so hungry and I get so many cravings. And I felt the same way. I was scared. This is going to be really painful. It's going to be really hard. I'm just going to feel hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. And the reason we think that is because we have used dieting. We are eating in a way that isn't nutritious enough for our bodies to be happy. So we're already undernourished. And then we start dieting and hunger just gets worse and worse and worse. I want you to understand this because that trap is something we can avoid altogether. So let's talk about what hunger is, right? It's a perception. I perceive that I'm hungry. It's like, have you ever seen those visual perception tests where you perceive a rabbit or you perceive two cups or you perceive two faces? So perception is something that comes from what's happening in our biology and our senses. And what's happening in terms of our interpretation, right? So that can have to do with cultural influences and psychology. What are our thoughts and our interpretations of what's happening? Researchers now feel that most people in our society are having an experience of insatiable hunger. It's not a normal human experience. It's happening in these times in our environment because of the disturbed way that we're eating. So it helps to understand what this is, because that's the big thing we need to escape, is this switch that's happened in our bodies where we feel so hungry. And so I talked about it just a minute ago. We're not getting the right nutrition in these times. Even those of us who feel like I eat way better, I study this stuff, I go to the health food stores, I spend a lot of time, looking at ingredients, etc. Even we are not getting adequate nutrition for the most part. So I don't think I've met one person yet that's come to me, and hundreds of people have come to me asking for help with this, mostly really smart, well-educated, well-read, successful women in their 50s and 60s who have studied this stuff and paid attention to it and feel like they're eating healthy. Even we are not getting adequate nutrition. We could be doing so much better than most people and still not be close enough. So what we find is it's the way researchers talk about it is it like flips a switch in our body. So we go on chronically not getting enough of the right nutrition, and the body flips a switch. So I'm going to tell you what that looks like, but where they see it, like they observe this in animals that are getting ready to hibernate. So bears, think about bears. They're just going crazy eating in the fall. They're driven, they're anxious, right? They have like this increased cortisol in their system, and they're hungry, they're famished, and they really especially want things that are high in sugar, right? And so they're either undernourished or they're going into a season where they're not going to have access to food. Looks like it flips a switch in our bodies. And this is what scientists believe is happening in our society now. So listen to what this looks like, what this flipping a switch looks like. It looks like increased hunger. And so part of that is a change in our hormone functioning. So why do bears get so hungry in the fall? It's a change in hormones in their body that tell them you're hungry, or change in the hormones that tell them you've had enough to eat, go do something, go get active, right? So when you find, like I just was talking with a Slender for Good client this morning, talking about getting hungry and how it used to be that when she would eat, she would feel like going and laying down. This is a sign we're eating the wrong food. That's not how we should feel when we eat food that's nourishing. We should feel like I got to go do something now. This has to do with these hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So the biggest problem that we can change is that we have this increased hunger because we're not eating the right foods, right? And we're eating too many of the wrong foods and not enough of the right foods. It's this package of problems. It's changing our hormone functioning. So these researchers tend to believe most of us probably are leptin resistant now. We're not ever getting a signal that we had enough to eat. Or maybe we felt like right after I ate, I felt good, but 40 minutes later, I got hungry again. That is probably a problem with the way we're eating, causing a change in our body. Why does our body do that? Because it perceives we're not getting enough nutrition. I need to make you feel hungry, so you'll eat more, right? So we keep eating and eating and eating, and we're not getting enough nutrition still. Overfed and undernourished is how people talk about it. Second thing is we get an increase in anxiety and a drive, like a foraging behavior. I always think of this like going into the kitchen and looking in the refrigerator and looking in the cupboards. What do I feel like eating? It's sort of this, it now seems bizarre to me, but totally common behavior of wandering around looking for what we feel like eating. So this is probably, it looks like, partly caused by increased cortisol in our system. I got this drive, I got to go find food. So I'm hungry and I feel driven and anxious to go find food. Does this relate for you? Like for me, it kind of relates to that term of hangry. I'm not just hungry, I'm hangry, I'm anxious, and I'm angry, and I'm hungry, right? And a lot of people believe, if I start working on weight loss, that's going to just get worse. But that's because you're using an eating approach that just is like, I need to cut back on what I'm eating. You're already not getting the nutrition you need, and now you're going to cut back. Of course, your body's going to say, hold on, I'm going to make you hungry. I'm going to make you anxious. I'm going to keep you awake, right? Flipping a switch looks like more hunger, looks like more anxiety and foraging, and it looks like more fat storage. So you think about bears getting ready to hibernate, their body is going to start storing fat, right? So this is mostly tied to how our insulin system is functioning. A lot of researchers believe most of us are overweight or obese, over 80%, and increasing all the time. So researchers believe probably most of us are developing insulin resistance. So our body isn't doing this to hurt us, right? It also tends to be driving up our blood sugar, driving up our blood pressure. All of these things serve a survival purpose, right? They're not going to make us really healthy for a really long time, but they're going to let us keep surviving. So it's not our body trying to punish us. It's trying to save us because it's not getting enough nutrients. Right? So this observation that Americans, and now most people around the world, are overfed and undernourished. So what it feels like to us is, man, am I hungry? I am insatiably hungry. I'm anxious and like I can't get enough. I'm searching around for food. I feel low energy like a couch potato, and I'm storing excess fat. And this situation kind of feeds on itself, right? And people say, I eat healthy, but we're not eating healthfully enough is what we discover. So when we learn what truly healthful eating is, that's different from what we think in this environment, we can consistently give our body what it needs, and it becomes happy, and it quits yelling for more. It quits feeling hungry. It's completely different from dieting, right? I do an event on this. If you want to know more about that, let me know, because I can send you trainings that I do on why dieting is not the answer. It is the anti-answer. Like, forget about it. Just eat the way you're eating rather than go on a diet. That's just going to make things worse. Learning how to truly nourish your body, that can make a massive difference. So how this sounds, like with Slender for Good clients, learning how to eat in a way that actually works, is they say to me all the time, this is easy. I'm amazed. I'm losing weight week after week after week without feeling hungry. If it's feeling difficult and you're feeling hungry, it's probably not the right approach, right? So the kind of insatiable hunger that comes with inadequate nourishment is not going to be solved by dieting. It's going to make things worse, right? I want to save people from doing this. I'm on a mission, right? So I felt like I knew how to eat healthy. I found that almost none of us actually do know what healthy eating is in these times. We're reading things out in the marketplace that are based on all these wrong assumptions, and that's not getting us anywhere. So when we actually learn how to eat what's truly healthy and just eat an abundance of that and do it meal after meal, day after day, we get an appetite as our meal is coming. Like, oh, it's been 5 hours. I'm starting to get ready to eat. And that's a good thing, right? And you ever have the idea that an appetite is a good thing? What isn't a good thing is feeling this hangry feeling day in and day out. That's awful, right? I'm miserable. I'm stressed. I feel awful. All right. So when we eat what our body actually needs, the excess weight and fat just consistently start burning off. Like our body does that as naturally as it stores excess fat. It resets our weight to a healthier place, and then it defends that healthier weight. It's gorgeous. So this is the first big answer about hunger for most of us. Learn to eat right. Eat what your body actually needs in the abundance that it needs. It's not, the answer is not eat less. There may be things we need to eat less of, but the first answer is eat more of what your body needs, right? And this transforms hunger altogether. So most of us only get hungry at mealtime, and it doesn't feel like a problem. So that's a bit about the biology of hunger. There's hormones involved. There's leptin, there's ghrelin, there's cortisol, and there's insulin. These are all very involved in hunger, and we can change that when we eat right. It's pretty natural. Now, there's other drivers of hunger other than our biology, right? So we talked about hunger is a matter of first these chemical signals, these hormone signals in our body, but there's also cultural influences driving hunger. Can you think of some? Right? We're getting marketed to all the time to be paying attention to, I think it's time to eat again, right? And that is affecting us. That does affect us. So there's biology, cultural influences, and there's psychology. So let's talk about a little of those cultural drivers, right? Here's an example. In the past 60 years, we shifted from eating 3 meals a day to now eating on and off throughout the day, to feeling like snacks are really important. Like you wouldn't send a child on a 2-hour trip to the zoo without sending food with them. I wouldn't go anywhere in the car without having something to drink or making sure I can stop at a Starbucks, right? Now, this is serving these industries, right? It's serving Starbucks. It's serving these snack food industries. It's a whole industry that's cropped up. But it's not serving us in terms of healthy habits and how those hormones are functioning. And it's not serving us in terms of our weight or issues with diabetes or heart disease, high blood pressure, etc. So you can think of it like Pavlov's dog. You ever study this in like Psych 101, that we found that you could train dogs to start salivating by ringing a bell, because you would put ringing a bell together with feeding them. And so every time you rang the bell now, their body starts getting ready to eat, they start salivating. I see this with my dog every day when I'm preparing her breakfast. It's pronounced. So it's a real thing, and this is happening to us day in and day out. And we find people don't have to even notice that they saw an advertisement for food to start feeling hunger in their body. So this is a challenge. It's a socio-cultural driver of hunger. We live in an environment that is seriously perilous to our health in this way, right? Here's another thing our culture teaches us. We should never, ever, ever feel any discomfort. And if we do, we should buy something or eat something or drink something or all of the above. Buy this food and drink, right? And then you won't feel uncomfortable. It will at least distract you from the discomfort, right? But no, you should never, ever feel uncomfortable. This is a terrible cultural idea that is not serving us. Again, it's serving people selling us food and drink, right? So one of the things we can do is start to really raise our awareness. I'm feeling hungry. Wait, why am I feeling hungry? It's only been an hour since I ate or 2 hours since I ate. Do I really feel hungry? So one of the things we need to do if we're trying to change our relationship with eating, trying to change our eating behavior, is change our relationship with hunger and just get more curious about it, not like beat ourselves up. No, you're not going to eat. Shut up. You know, we don't have to do that, but question it. I'm feeling hungry. Am I though? So there's like this psychological side to hunger. We're getting into thoughts and beliefs and attitudes and assumptions and habits, right? So when you want to change your habits, you need to slow down your reactions. I'm hungry. I'm putting things in my mouth. Wait a minute, slow down. I can put things in my mouth. I can eat something. I don't have to be scared. Let's just slow down and see what's happening. Get curious about your perceptions, right? Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm hungry, and realized, actually, I'm just kind of irritated. I'm just having like an emotional state right now that I'm uncomfortable with, and I know that eating something will distract me for a minute, or I'm bored. You ever realize I'm eating because I'm bored, I'm not actually hungry? Or do you ever think, I'm hungry, what if I have some water and see if I'm thirsty, and then realize you're not hungry anymore, right? Anybody ever have those experiences? I used to get quite panicked about being hungry. And part of it was when I was an adolescent and going through lots of hormone changes, you know, then you go through the other hormone changes on this end. But when I was going through all these hormone changes, sometimes I didn't feel like eating, and sometimes I would get lightheaded and faint. And so I think about what the doctor prescribed for me, which was messed up, which was have ice cream at night. That was his answer for it. Oh, okay, that sounds good. I like that answer. I'll do that. Anyway, later in life, when I finally was approaching, I'm going to need to change something about my eating in a different way than I have been. I'm going to have to learn something new. I was working in nursing homes, and I used to stand up after working for a while, and I would get dizzy. And I would go, oh, I'm going to faint. Here's that faint thing again. I lean against the wall. Nurses would come running to help me. It was embarrassing. And my understanding was I need to eat. I need to eat. I need to eat. Because I'm lightheaded. I'm so hungry, I'm lightheaded. I discovered when I started really questioning this that I was messing up my glucose and my insulin functioning by the way I was eating, the frequency with which I was eating, etc. I discovered that my understanding of what was going on was completely wrong. And gave myself a chance to do what the research actually suggested. And then this dizzy thing went away. I had lived with it way into my 50s. But I always remember one moment that really should have taught me something was the first time I visited Denver. It's a mile high, right, from Michigan. I was living at pretty much sea level. And I just kept eating and eating and eating. It's like, oh, geez, I'm dizzy. I need to eat. I'm dizzy. I need to eat, right? So dizzy meant I need to eat. All right, slow down. I can't need to eat again. I just ate an hour ago, but I'm still dizzy. Well, you probably guessed that's because I was not used to the elevation, right? So our interpretation of things we're perceiving in our body can be pretty wrong. And if we always go from I need to eat to I'm eating, I'm feeling this need to eat to I'm eating, we never get to notice what actually all the different things this might mean, right? So feeling hungry, I'm feeling hungry, can mean a lot of different things. So one thing you can do is just get really curious, just slow down. You're not telling yourself, no, I'm not letting you eat. You're not like being hard on yourself. Just, okay, I'll eat in 10 minutes if I still think I need to, but I'm gonna take 10 minutes to notice what am I feeling, where am I feeling it, what might it mean other than I need food, right? I have learned feeling hungry or feeling lightheaded is not an emergency, right? I can slow down and evaluate what's going on and make various choices. But the biggest lesson of all is these feelings of hunger completely change when I'm eating what my body actually needs. It's way more nutritious food than I thought. right? I thought I was eating quite a bit of nutritious food. I wasn't even close. I almost never meet anyone who's close. So if you want to learn how much easier this can be, reach out to me. I'd love to help you learn what eating truly abundant, highly nutritious foods looks like. There's a lot of specificity and clarity to this. It took me 15 years of going through college and grad school to know how to study the research. And then I had to spend, over a year digging into the research, reading hundreds of research studies to find the answer. And then, fortunately, I know how to change habits, how to change really entrenched habits because of being a psychologist. So if you want to know how I help people with this, reach out to me. I'd love to help you with it. But also just engage with me and let me know, what's your observation about hunger? Is there a time you learned that doesn't really mean what I thought it meant? I'd love to hear those stories. All right, hope this was helpful. Take care.